5 basic money skills you need to know. We talked a lot about the stocks market here on this channel, analyzing the stocks and try to figure out where the market is headed to. That's all, of course, important. However, to start your journey of the getting to financial independence, you first need to master the basics money skills to improve your financial literacy. For some reasons, a lot of the people believe that just because they can spend money, they know how to manage it, which is not the case. Managing money is an art. The reasons why the company like Apple has been so successful is because it has the team of the incredible accountants who take has been playing around that tax regulations to keep most of what Apple makes to Apple so that they can keep investing themselves to keep producing innovative products. It not just Apple. The current US president has been avoiding taxing for years. Despite his $3.5 billion fortune, the president has only paid $750 in the federal taxes in 2017 and had completely avoided taxes in many prior years. We will not dive deep into the accounting skills that the methods they use to avoid taxes because we have covered that in one of the previous videos, which link will be in the descriptions. But we will shed some light on the 5 basic money skills that you should know. In fact, they are important that everyone should know them. Number 1, asset versus liabilities. If you have the real read the book that Rich Dad Poor Dad, the most important idea that the author is trying to get his audience is the difference between assets and liabilities. The reason why so many people are struggling financially is because they don't understand the difference between assets and liabilities. As asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, whereas liabilities is anything that takes money out of your pockets. The concept looks so simple, but yet most people get it wrong. People buy houses, cars, and think that they are acquiring assets when in reality they are not. When you buy a home, you have to pay taxes, utilize insurance, and so on. It constantly takes money out of your pockets, which means it's liability. Your car is also a liability. You have to buy the fuel, pay insurance, maintenance, and so on. However, if you rent that car out and it brings more money than it takes, then it turns into the asset. The same applies to the house. If you rent it out and after the subtracting all the expenses and ends up generating income, there is an asset. The rich buy assets, the poor buy liabilities, and the middle class buy liabilities that they think are assets. Second, number 2, taxes. Taxes are one of the most complicated things out there, and that's not by accident. They are meant to be complicated so that your average folk wouldn't understand them. The tax code is written by the rich to keep them rich, while on paper it seems like the tax rates on rich people are high. In reality, rich people pay a small amount of it, in some cases close to nothing in taxes. Corporate taxes in the US were around 39% during Obama. But no one really paid that much. In fact, sometimes they paid nothing. When you pay taxes, you pay a fixed percentage based on your income. But when your company pays taxes, they first subtract their expenses and pay taxes only on their net income. And that means the company can have as many expenses as it wants. Rich persons pay himself to live lavishly but uses the company's funds to cover his expenses and writes them as the business's expenses and ends up paying lower taxes. Many rich people run their companies at a loss to keep paying for their leisure. A lavish life, and at the same time avoid taxes. In fact, you can forward your losses to future years. So even if you ended up making a profit, you can deduct last year's losses and still avoid taxes. When politicians say that we will increase taxes on the rich, they don't mean the ultra rich who make the billions, but the middle class who makes over $500,000. Since that $500,000 in taxes under income tax, which is the highest taxes rating amount any country. If you don't master taxes, even if you ended up making millions, you will be paying the big portions of that to Uncle Sam. And that takes me to the next point. Third, it's not how much money you make that matters, it's how much money you keep. Let's say you are a successful lawyer in California and you have $1 million. How much of that you are going to take home? Only 532,000. Your total income, federal and the state taxes are going to amount 46.7%. You are literally giving half of your money to the government, and it's half the mortgage, a car loan. You will hardly be making ends meet. Even with the $1 million income, you will be living paycheck to paycheck. That's why what matters at the end of the day is how much money you can keep after paying taxes and covering your expenses. Learn to save money. If you lose that job, the government isn't going to give you back that $500,000 you paid in taxes. The bank is going to come after your house and the car, but savings alone isn't enough. Fourth, learn how to let your money work for you. Having a lot of the money sitting in your bank is useless to a certain degree because money is the resources and resources are meant to be used. The only way to get out of the rat race is to have enough money to working for you so that you don't have to work another day. The point isn't to lie in the couch and do nothing but rather have the freedom to whatever you enjoy doing. So no matter how much you save, your money will run out at some point. That's why you should let your money work for you by buying assets. Remember when we talked about assets as liabilities, and assets could be anything from the rented property to a government bond. Investing in some ways is easy and straightforward. However, in the practice, it's a little more complicated than it seems. Stocks doesn't always go up. Not every house is easily rented out, and the government bonds can sometimes have the lower rate of return than inflations. So, learning how to invest to get the high enough rate of return is the art by itself. Number 5. Keep your credit score high. You probably heard that you need money to make money. And that's true. Making the 5% return on the $1,000 a year is just $50. Not enough to get your pair of the sneakers from the Nike. But 5% on the $100 million is $5 million. Enough money to live your life like a king in any corner of the world. Debt is an important financial tool. Whoever wants to master it has built a fortune out of nothing, and whoever is the bad with the debt ended up bankrupt. It's up to you. It's up to you on which side you want to be in. You can, of course, work to save every penny to buy a house 30 years later, or be good with the debt and get mortgage at favorable terms now. The first steps to be financially responsible is to keeping your credit score high. You can, of course, work and save every penny to buy a house 30 years later, or be good with the debt and get mortgage to affordable terms now. The first steps to be financially responsible is to keeping your credit score high. The easiest way to do that is through credit cards. I know that you might have the negative opinion about the credit cards because you had to pay incredibly high interest since you didn't cover your credit card's debt on time. That has happened to a lot of the people, but if you are financially responsible, it's not that difficult to pay your debt on time to avoid the extra interest. Now you might say, why use the credit card when you can use the debit card? Well, to build your credit score, you need to take credit to pay it back on time. You can basically use the credit card to pay for the things you pay with the debit card, and at the end of the month, simply pay your credit card. That's how you raise your credit score. So next time when you need to get the mortgage, for example, banks will consider you a financially responsible citizen and would give you a better mortgage rate. Imagine how much you will save even by getting the slightly lower mortgage rate. Whether you like it or not, you have to learn to be financially literate at a certain degree, because even if you hate money, you can't avoid it. And money will always play an important role in our lives. So start mastering at least the basic skills first. And now it's time to give this video 2 thumbs up if you enjoyed, and hit the subscribe button and the bell beside this if you want to see more similar videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time.